Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Jason and Gary's BS podcast. Today we will be talking about arcade machines. Yeah, this is number 4. So, number 3 is not out yet, but should be soon. Had a little technical difficulty, but yeah, on to Gary. We'll just start with you. How you kind of got into arcade games and when you first came across them, and I guess what interested you in them. So
All right. Yeah, I've been into them for a long time.
you've been in them.
I remember do what?
You've been in them.
Oh, but
So let's
yeah,
talk
we
more
used
about that.
that's another episode. Oh,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
When
Sorry.
when I was young, I'm sure you remember there was it was a show called Richie Rich, or not Richie Rich, but Silver Spoons. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Well,
Yes. Yeah.
he had a big arcade in his house, and
Yeah.
I remember going to like to the grocery stores and
Mm-hmm.
we had a community pool that we went to that always had like Galaga and Pac Man. This was early '80s, and then
Yeah.
we would go to uh, I believe it was Aladdin's Castle in the mall. Like
Yeah.
if my mom got a haircut or something, she'd let us go in there. And
Mm-hmm.
so I grew up around arcades, and I was fascinated with them. Just
Yeah.
I just sit there. I wouldn't even play them sometimes. I would just sit there and stare at the track mode. I mean, it was kind of pathetic, but
Yeah.
poor kid, he can't put a quarter in, but he can stare at the machine. But but as I got older, I always I loved playing them, and even like in my teens, like I can remember going to the grocery store with my parents, and while they're shopping, I'm over there where the arcade machines are, just either playing or
Yeah.
again staring at the track mode. So, so I always thought when I got older that I would love to have an arcade machine in my house. So, and I always, kind of when eBay came around, I would check eBay, but they were always kind of, I don't know, they weren't that expensive at that time, but they they were still more than what I had. So, so
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
the first arcade I ever got, I was I was watching Craigslist. Craigslist was real big back then. This was probably
Yeah.
2009. And I remember seeing on
Yeah.
Craigslist a guy had a Donkey Kong 3 um, for sale, and he only wanted like I don't know $150 for it. So
Dang.
yeah, so I went over there and looked at it, and it was in really good condition. But I really didn't know anything about arcades other than what I'd grown up. I mean, I didn't know the ins and outs of them. I didn't know how they worked. And
Yeah.
this guy, I remember his name is Darren. I call him D Man, and we're still friends to this day. But I remember going
Yeah.
in there, and his whole basement was arcades, and
Mm-hmm.
even had a section with pinballs. We'll get that. We'll get to that on a later episode. But I remember going in and seeing that. As soon as I saw that Donkey Kong 3, I got the bug. So I
Yeah.
can't remember what I think he came off the price a little bit. I think I might have even gave like $90 for it. I mean, I didn't give much for it, but I remember I got it. I got my buddy Brandon to help me go get it and bring it to my house. Well,
Yeah.
after I played it a few times, I got to doing research on the machine, and I found out that it was originally a Donkey Kong that had been converted to a
Okay.
Donkey Kong 3. So me being having the brain that I have, I couldn't concentrate on anything else after that. It had to go
Right.
back to the original Donkey Kong. So I had to find a
Yeah.
way. So back then, uh, you had to scour eBay and just wait for the right deal or whatever. I think I might have spent a couple $100, but I got it back to original Donkey Kong, and it was awesome. I wished I'd have never sold that one because I've had another one since then, but that was the nicest one I ever had. But
Yeah.
that kind of led into my collecting, and there. Then I was it literally. I mean, it was like an obsession. I would be checking Marketplace every single day, checking Craigslist every single day, checking eBay every single day for any kind of
Yeah.
arcade to come up. Well,
Yeah.
I got a few more machines. I'd say I can't remember. I think I got a Miss Pac-Man from the same guy. And back then, there wasn't much artwork available. So I basically I worked at a print shop and I redrew the artwork and got it printed at my place of employment.
Yeah.
Well, so I restored that Miss Pac-Man. Well, as soon as it was done, I had to find another one. So it continued on like that. And one day my fiance well, I guess I don't even know if we were fiance at the time. We might have been just dating, but we had went to a birthday party where she worked. It was at a daycare, and
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy that I went to school with. His name was Les, and I'd forgot about it. But his dad was the operator in the Pilot Mountain, Mount Airy area. So
Yeah.
he had he's like, you want to see some arcade games? And I was like, yeah. So we get in the car and he drives over to a series of warehouses and lets me go in them.
Mm.
And you open the door and list endless arcade games from the you can't even walk through there. I mean, arcade games that
Yeah.
just basically from the door to the back corner, and you have to climb over
Wow.
them to see them all. And
That's
and there was like four buildings like that he showed me. So that was basically for a while, that was where I got my arcade games. When I would get some extra money, I'd go talk to him or his
yeah.
dad and bring one home and restore them. And then I got to restoring them and kind of flipping them to try to make money towards
Yeah.
my my pinball habit. Basically, I got into pinball later, but
Right.
so I've really enjoyed. I mean, I've had any of the popular brands. I know I've had. I'm trying to think. I've had Donkey Kong, Miss Pac-Man, Pac-Man, Tron, uh, Galaga. No, I haven't had Galaga, but I've had Galaxian, Gapless. I
Yeah.
mean, any of the big name ones I've had, and a lot of the obscure ones. I don't know exactly how many arcade machines I've had, but it's quite a few. Um,
Yeah. Oh,
but that's basically my history on it, and I mean, me and you are both big into it right now. We're
yeah.
I can't see us not being big into it. Because it's like one of those hobbies once you're in, you
Yeah.
don't get out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I guess, yeah, I started off like, I guess I grew up with it kind of because my grandfather on my dad's side, Big Raj, he owned, uh, or ran a business called Smith Music Company. And then they had routes and sold jukeboxes and arcades, and they put them out on route, and they had a big business whole thing going. And my dad and my uncle Gig both worked for him, and they actually repaired arcade machines and stuff like that. And I was little, probably, I don't know, 10, 9, 10, and he would bring home arcade machines for us to play at the house. So I was real early on having an arcade in my house, not knowing anything about it. Just, hey, Dad brought home Pac-Man. It's usually a cocktail
Mm-hmm.
cabinet or something like that. Super Pac-Man, um, just different games. And eventually, he brought home Wizard of War, which ended up staying in the family. It was like the only arcade that actually stayed in the family after Smith Music Company. My grandpa had to sell off the company. He couldn't run it anymore, and my dad had brought home that last game, Wizard of War. So we ended up just keeping it because the company dissolved. I can't remember what it became afterward, but so that was my first kind of introduction. And my grandma at their house, they would always have Super Pac-Man, the cocktail cabinet, and I'd go over there and play it constantly. I mean, that was Super Pac-Man and Wizard of War were my favorite arcade games. So then, uh, growing up, I kind of forgot about them. My dad had kept the Wizard of War at his house, and it just kind of got put aside, and I kind of forgot about them for a long time. I played them a little bit, like you said, Aladdin's Castle in the mall. Um, I would take any chance I had to go play some. I'd stop, put quarters in. They were everywhere back then, like retail stores, gas station, wherever. They were kind
Everywhere.
of located. Yeah, right. So it was easy to find one. Um, and then Aladdin's Castle, which introduced me to like Mortal Kombat. I remember thinking that was insane. I mean, the crowd of people when that game came out was insane. I mean,
Yeah.
it really blew up. I remember all the blood and stuff. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
everybody just, I mean, you couldn't even get to that one. But that
It's
being
so
said,
realistic.
yeah, right. But, like everybody was waiting. It really pumped up, but then arcade kind of died off. All the, Aladdin's Castle uh, went to the wayside, and you start seeing less and less games out there. And I remember finding out that you had them in your house. You were buying them and getting into them, and I was like, yeah, I think I want to do that too. So I remember like you helped me get my first one, which was Galaga,
Yeah.
and that was the first one I was going to go get and restore, and it was $350. It was working, but it had like water damage, I guess, from sitting on the floor where people would
Yeah.
clean, the floors. The bottoms of the arcade cabinets would get wet, and so I
Hmm.
had to repair that, and that kind of got me into it. And from that point, uh, you know, uh, I guess reignited the spark. So
Hmm.
then I started getting some more games. I got a Super Pac-Man, what else? Shoot, a bunch of pinballs. I can't remember. Cruising USA. I don't know. I had several. I don't know. They were
Yeah.
lined up in this little room right here. And then I didn't have enough room. Started selling them off. And then I remember me and you got into, I guess you had already been kind of restoring them and selling them. And then we went in together, kind of started doing it. Started off with Miss Pac-Man cocktail cabinet, and we would make multicades and stuff like that. That was those were good times because you could get a
The tr-
game
yeah. The Tron deal was
cheap.
the best.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Uh,
we were making money hand over fist
yeah.
just restoring these old arcade games because I mean, it was just I had a printer, but not something real. real great at the time when we first started,
Oh yeah,
but
remember.
yeah, it wasn't great, but we could work with it, and
Hmm.
just we would take turns kind of restoring them and stuff like that, and just finding room or whatever. But it really paid off. I mean, I was able to afford my first pinball, which, like I said, we'll go into in a future episode. But I mean, it was mad money because at the time we could get them super cheap. I mean, we bought arcade games for $50 and stuff like that. I mean, it was just nuts. And then I guess we ran out of room, kind of stopped, fiddling with it and stuff. And I know you still have some at your house, but I ended up getting rid of most of mine. Just ran out of room. And then the kids didn't want to play it anymore. And I held on to a Ghostbusters pinball for as long as I could, but ended up having to sell that too. But all that to get to kind of now, I make all the graphics for them. I ended up getting a good printer, making, I have a whole stickersmitharcade.com, and I sell all the graphics for them on eBay and stuff like that. Like, I brought a control panel of Ghosts and Goblins,
One of
just
the
a
best
sample I
games
had
ever.
laying around.
One of the
Yeah.
hardest games ever.
And yeah, they're all hard as shit.
Yeah,
Don't fool yourself.
yeah.
But that kind of so graph like arcade will always kind of be part of my life now because shoot, that's what I do for a living as part of a job. So uh all that just being said, like it's a huge part of my life because of that, and I enjoyed it so much I wanted to help others restore their games. And even though we got out of kind of restoring them and stuff because the pricing got too insane for us, it was just we got priced out, I guess, eventually. But
Yeah.
like I said, I mean, I know you still have arcade games in your house, and it ended up being a real big part of both our lives, I
Well,
guess.
we
Really.
we both we still restore them. We just do it as a third party. I help you with that artwork.
Right.
And you print decals, and but we send them off to other people to do the hard work.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I do I send Gary any jobs that come through, and he does his own stuff too, just making
yeah,
custom arcade graphics and stuff. So
yeah.
that works out.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's been
Oh,
nice. It's been really nice.
yeah, but
Well,
I don't know, that was kind of my end of it, I guess. Like I said, my favorites were probably the Wizard of War and Super Pac-Man. What were your favorites?
um, well, there's kind of, I guess, two different eras basically. The '80s and the '90s, or the late '80s,
Yeah,
late '80s and '90s. I would say my favorite from the '80s is Gyrus, because like
Gyrus.
when we would go to Pizza Hut and King, they
Yeah.
always had like a tabletop or a
Mm-hmm.
cocktail version of it. And I remember just going out there, and as soon as I get there, I'd be begging for quarters to go
Right.
play it, because it was like the only arcade game I'd ever heard that played like classical music. It had that da 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 da, which
Oh,
I
that's
thought was
awesome.
really cool. Yeah, it was really awesome. But that was actually one of the first games I got when I got older. That was one of the first games I searched for. It was probably the fourth game I ever got, and I wished I never sold it either. So, but for that
Yeah.
era, yeah, the '80s would be Gyrus, and probably for the late '80s, early '90s, um, probably RoboCop. I loved
Huh.
RoboCop. I would sit there and just be mesmerized by just watching the first stage, where you start
Yeah.
out, you're sitting there walking and you're punching, and then your side
Mhm.
opens up and you pull out the gun, and then
Yeah.
it shows him face Ed 209 at the end of it, and I would just
Yeah.
sit there. I would sit there and just watch that, not even play it, just watch it, just watch the track mode.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite from the two eras? Would you say?
Well,
Very
like I
favorite.
said, like okay, the old school would be Wizard of War and Super Pack. I
Yeah,
can't really decide between the two, but probably later on, hmm, I guess I played Two Bad Dudes a lot. I
yeah,
don't know where that falls in, but
yeah,
TMNT, 4 player,
yeah.
and
Those were
Two
those were
Bad
awesome.
Dudes. Uh, then I'd like Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
I guess later on, Killer Instinct. That was another
Oh
favorite of
yeah,
mine.
that's right. Those really
So
came out like Street Fighter Two, Mortal
yeah,
Kombat, and Killer Instinct. That was like mid '90s, wasn't it? Like early to mid '90s.
yeah. That was around. I guess they got real popular, but I feel like it started dying off like right after that. Like as far as
Yeah,
like Aladdin's Castle or them being out there. I mean,
yeah,
while I'm thinking about it, we can go ahead and ask our audience if anyone's watching
yeah,
what your favorite game was from the 80s, 90s. You can leave it in a comment below. We always will read all our comments and everything. But
yeah.
yeah, I would say the fighting games or another Streets of Rage. I don't know if you ever played that, but
I
it
don't
was
know.
pretty good. Um,
I'm sure I did. It was kind of like a Final Fight, wasn't it?
yeah, like a Final Fight type deal.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I remember playing Two Bad Dudes a lot though. I don't know why.
Too bad. Wait a minute. That's Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja, ain't it? Isn't that the name of the?
Yeah,
Or was it? I think that's the name of the game. I remember back. You started off and you're in the streets, and then you're on like the top of a tractor and trailer.
yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah. I love
Come
that
on.
game. That and
I don't know
Shinobi.
something about it. Yeah,
Shinobi was really good. Um, all those late '80s games were Carniv and Double Dragon was another good one. They were all like
yeah,
fighting games and stuff.
yeah, yeah. That's where they started kind of leaning. I guess it seemed like more so, or shooter. I guess I don't know. Like Terminator 2 was really good, but nowadays they got those huge machines. Finding Dave and Buster's and stuff that are just
Oh
you
yeah.
can't even have in your house if you wanted. But I don't know. I still I don't know. Talking about it and everything still makes me want to start restoring them again.
Oh yeah. Me too. I I
I don't
mean
know.
the problem is now you can't. Well, I mean it's starting to get kind of arcades and pinball kind of go hand in hand. So you remember
Yeah.
when we first started collecting, it was the like 2009, 2010, and nobody else was
Yeah.
really collecting. So you could basically
Right.
get whatever you wanted. But then
Yeah.
somewhere around 2012, the pinballs took off. And when the pinballs got out of sight, people started buying up arcades because they couldn't afford the pinballs. So that drove the
Right.
arcades up. And now it's starting, I think, where the pinball companies have made so many pinball machines, it's starting to force the older stuff to go back down now because
Man.
because people's selling their older stuff to get the newer stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. The the arcade one ups that came
Yeah.
out now. Those
Oh yeah.
little. I mean, I haven't gotten one, but I mean they look. It's basically just multicades on a small scale, and I guess they're more affordable than
Yeah.
actual arcades. But back then, I mean, they're charging $500 for these, I guess, these little arcade one ups. When me and you started collecting and stuff like that, we could get a full size freaking Tron or
Oh yeah,
Galaga or Gyrus or whatever for way less.
I remember
Like
the
just
first Tron I bought was $400,
yeah.
and it was
And
it
now it's
was yeah. What is it? 2,500 now? Is that what they go for?
right, right, insane.
Oh
Yeah, I don't know, and I know everybody talks about it like you said. That makes complete sense that they started wanting more pinball. I remember you could see the shift when
yeah,
we were in all the Facebook groups and always talking to people about it and looking on Craigslist or Facebook or whatever marketplace we could find them on, and you could see literally the shift. Everybody started, I'm going to start getting into pinballs now. And then all of a sudden, all the pinball machines start going up, but so do all the arcades because everybody starts buying those up, like you said. And
yep,
the pricing just, I mean, for a multicade that somebody put a monitor in or whatever was going to start getting to $1,000.
yep,
And when we were making them, we were selling them for what? I want to say 600, 500,
yeah.
600
Something
bucks.
like that. Yeah, well, it wasn't bad. I mean,
But
it
we
was
were,
still pretty.
yeah, we were
Yeah,
getting the arcade cabinet for like $100. you
hmm
know. So I mean, it's amazing to me how everything just skyrocketed. And like you, I'm sure I watch them constantly still looking for a deal or something like that. And just being part of my business, I do like to get them, if I can, or get artwork or something like that. I'm always
hmm
on eBay looking for new old stock. If I have a scanner now that I can scan in the old artwork, and sometimes I just
hmm
like to have it, even
yeah,
if it's something like I don't know, a food fight where nobody has that arcade game. It's literally very few of them. But if you can come across the art and just have that file, it's just cool to have.
yeah.
I can't collect the games anymore, so I collect the artwork nowadays.
Well, uh, two good examples of it going up so fast was I had that first Tron, and right after that first Tron, I had a track and field. Well, my
Yeah,
first Tron, literally, I had it a week. I was going to keep that game. That was going to be one that I kept, which I say that about
yeah,
all of them. But I'd wanted Tron for a long time. Well, I got that
right.
Tron, and I was working on it. All I did was replace the power supply, which was like $60, I think. No, it wasn't even that. It was like $40 at the time.
Yeah,
And I think you printed me new side art for it,
yeah,
and and I literally, one of my arcade buddies found out that I had it, and
yeah.
he he said, once you get the side art on, I'll give you $1,000 for it, and that was in 1 week. And I was like, back then, $1,000 was like unheard of for a Tron. So I was
Yeah,
like, I let it go. Well, right after that, I had I think it was a Ninja Gaiden. It was
yeah.
basically a track and field that somebody had converted to a Ninja Gaiden. Well, I'd bought
I remember
everything,
that.
and I'd bought everything to put it back. And I believe you, I can't remember if I had to buy the side art from somebody else or if you did. You might have done the side art for that one too. I know, I'm pretty sure you did the control panel for it, but
Yeah,
it,
I didn't have the side art. Yeah,
yeah, well, I restored it, and the same thing. This one was supposed to be for Sarah because Sarah's favorite game was track and field, and the
yeah.
same guy found out I had it, and I don't even know what he offered me for. I want to say like 1,500 for track and field.
Wow.
So I let it go, and I was just, oh, I feel so. I look back on it now, I was like, I'm stupid. I should have kept them, but
I
what are
know.
you gonna do? You know, when somebody just offers you that much more than what you just paid for it.
Right. I feel the same way. I had, the like I said earlier, Super PAC, I had one. I had one.
Mm-hmm. I
And I had
remember.
a Wizard of War. I had going back to that cocktail game, I actually ended up with it in my home, got it from my dad and kept it here, redid the glass and everything. Like
Yep.
it looked pristine. Got offered some money, let it go. Then I got an upright Wizard of
Mm-hmm.
War. Fixed it all up, put new side art on it, new everything. Some dude offered me like 1,500 for it. It's in a museum now in Tennessee somewhere. So but you look back on, I mean, those are the
Ugh.
ones I actually did play, and it makes me sick now because I can't find one now.
Yeah,
And
you had a nice
hell,
gyrus too.
oh yeah, I love that game. That was
Yep.
super fun.
Oh yeah,
I
it's
mean, there's
awesome.
some games, the music in that one really draws you in. I mean, it's and
Yeah.
then you're like it gets faster and faster. I mean, just
Yep.
real intense. I remember that one was actually really fun. So
Yeah, it's a
I
fun
don't know.
game.
I guess we've hit our 30 minutes. We could probably keep going on, but
Yeah,
before we
that was a
sign
quick
off,
30 minutes.
I'm going to say a special thanks to my son Riley. He's been editing these videos, and
Absolutely.
he's been doing a good job and working hard on it, trying to make up for our mess. So, want to
You
give a
try to
little
make us look good,
shout
which is
out
a
to
hard
him.
job.
We appreciate it, and
Yep.
he's starting off on the ground floor. Maybe when we're big time, we can actually afford to pay him.
When we hit the big time.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. This is Jason signing off. Be sure to like and subscribe.
Later.
See you.